And we are back to the show. Welcome back, everybody. And we are here to talk to you. We got a couple more calls. Jamie, you ready to get back to it?
Born ready yesterday.
How does it feel? How does it feel to be back in here, Jamie? You feel good?
You know, it's a little trippy, bro. It's like, whoa, the vibes. No, yeah, it's good. It's definitely. I mean, I was here last month. I mean, not in front of the camera, but that was a little bit trippy. It's definitely trippy to be talking into this microphone again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if my germs from last time are still surviving on there.
I wish you didn't say that. Because now I'm going to be thinking about that. I got to stay like way far away now. Anyway, we got some more people we got to talk to. So let's get to it. Next we have Sunflower. Sunflower, who's calling in from Washington. Sunflower, how's it going?
Hi, how are you?
Doing great.
Marvelous. It's a good day outside, and we've got air conditioning inside.
Yeah,
no complaints.
It's true. It's true.
What do you want to talk about today?
Hold on. Let me minimize this because it's distracting on my computer. Anyways, I just wanted to talk to you about a few things and I wanted to pick your brains. By the way, I just wanted to say you guys, I don't mean to gender, I'm sorry. You both are looking fabulous today.
Thank you. We are twinning right now. It is pretty great. And
oh my God, so embarrassing.
I've since grown a beard since last time we hosted.
It's true.
I used to be the clean-shaven host at the ACA, and now I'm not right now, but I will be. So anyway, thank you.
We got to him.
I have a lot of religious trauma. I call myself, and I'll try to keep this brief so you can get to other calls.
Sure.
I call myself an agnostic atheist, though I never came out to my mom as atheist at all, or agnostic atheist. Which is fine, because I'm just not ready to do that yet.
Sure.
But I'm sorry if I sound nervous. I'm very nervous.
It's okay.
Oh yeah, no apology necessary.
Take a deep breath.
Take your time. Take your time.
I was so excited when you guys were on, and I'm like, you're live? Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Finally, I can catch you live instead of just watching the recording.
Yeah.
Anyway, I have a lot of I also have ADHD, so if my thoughts seem jumbled, please bear with me.
Sure.
Me too.
Anyways, I have a lot of religious trauma, and I am talking to a therapist, which is good to get your mental health in check for anyone struggling. But anyways, it's hard for her to understand a lot because of what I'm going through. And she does help, but it's hard for her to understand, which is okay. I understand. She's learning about religious trauma with me, but I'm sorry. I have a problem with God, and Jesus, this is going to sound bad when I listen to the recording. I can't even get my thoughts out. I'm so nervous. But anyways.
Oh, it's all good.
I have a problem with God. I don't believe in God, but at the same time, I do, which is kind of weird. But at the same time, I don't care if there's a God or not.
Okay.
So I'm having this battle in my brain that's messing with my psyche because at one hand, I'm like, my mom has a lot of health issues. I won't get into it out of respect for her, but she has a lot of health issues. On one hand, I throw my hands up to the air and flip the heavens off because I'm like, God, where the heck are... I don't know if I can curse on this.
You can say pretty much whatever.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are there new rules?
But yeah, what it sounds
Nobody
like.
fucking told me about
if
that.
If I could recap for you, Sunflower, what it sounds like is you still have some of these beliefs, kind of maybe, but at the same time you don't believe, and you're struggling with dealing with that, right? It sounds like what you're experiencing is cognitive dissonance. Are you familiar with that?
Oh, totally. Because I come from an ex-Mormon background, as well as an evangelical background, as well as a Pentecostal background. I jumped around a lot.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, so just to kind of get the conversation flowing, right?
Yeah.
Like, I felt the exact same way when I was trying to sort of deconvert from my religion, right? Really try to really deconstruction is kind of the term that a lot of people use now. But that's what it was. It was like, it wasn't a clean thing for me. It was, well, maybe I'm more of a liberal Christian, or maybe I'm more of a Christian mystic. And then like I kind of had to go through a couple different labels for myself before I could comfortably call myself an agnostic atheist, right? But that's totally normal, and that's totally okay. Even if you recognize right now some of the stuff you don't believe isn't rational, I mean, that's probably because I'm assuming from what you're telling me, right? Like you've grown up with that most of your life. And so if you've grown up with a certain framework most of your life, that's going to be hard to just like, shovel out of your psyche in a day, right? Like it doesn't happen in a day. Like, therapists, they don't treat your problems in a day either, right? It usually takes time to kind of work that stuff out. So what you're experiencing right now, first of all, I will validate you in saying that it's totally normal. And it's not something to be ashamed of. It's not something that you should feel bad about. You're just trying to work through some stuff and figure out where you land. Now, a label you might use for yourself is an apatheist, which is someone who doesn't actually care whether or not a God is real or his existence doesn't really matter in their life. And maybe that's what you're feeling right now. Maybe there's some other labels that work for you. But am I kind of giving a good summary about like how you're feeling?
Yeah. Is that an accurate description of where you're at?
Yeah.
Kind of. The thing is the reason why I said in the beginning agnostic atheist is because I don't see evidence for God, but at the same time I can't get rid of that out of my head.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
so when I look at the world around me, I see so much pain in this world. And when George Floyd passed away, rest in peace, rest in power, my brother, when he passed away, I was marching with Black Lives Matter very heavily. I was involved in activism very heavily, and I'm always activism.
Is that what caused you to start questioning your traditional beliefs? Can you talk about the process that you went to that led you from, presumably, I'm a Mormon, and then I've forgotten what the Mormon statement of faith or equivalent is, to, forgive me, the next one, and then where you are now?
So really quick with my Mormon thing, and I watched Jimmy Snow alive, you know.
Yeah, we know Jimmy.
I love him so much. Anyways, and I watch a lot of Aaron Robb, but anyways, my point is I left Mormonism because of historical facts.
Yeah.
Historical stuff, and I couldn't reconcile that between what the church was telling me and what the actual church documents were telling me.
Sure.
I went to the Church History Library in Salt Lake City. I really dug in. But a friend slapped a book in my hand called The Insider's View of Mormon Origins, which is historical documents. Mm-hmm. Anyways, that's a long story, but eventually I got out of Mormonism because I couldn't even keep the rules of Mormonism because I know this is supposed to be kid-friendly. I don't know.
No, it's not. You can say fuck if that's what you want to say. It's totally cool.
No, I loved coffee. Mormons don't drink coffee, and I couldn't stop doing what men do in the bedroom by themselves.
Yeah.
So I just had all this guilt. Yeah. And then because I still believed in God and held on to that concept of God and Jesus, I was going to another church.
Yeah. I
started going to another church that was meeting after the Mormon congregation got over that I was going to. And I dug into evangelicalism. But I was more of a liberal Christian type of person. At the same time, I didn't come out as gay. I'm gay and queer, part of the LGBTQ, baby.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of it. But that took me a long fucking time.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
So what brought you from the evangelical congregation and your passion in that to where you are now?
Yeah. That's what I wanted to.
Well, what brought me to?
Let's phrase it this way. Where are you at right now?
Yeah.
Where are you at? Like, if you could give a definitive idea of, like, how confident you are in God being real, even if it's like a percentage. Like, I'm 50%. I 50% think that there's a God out there. Like, where are you at?
That's hard to put a percentage on it. That's very hard because there's I don't know, because I would say there's a small percent in my mind that says, what if this is real? A small percent, which would be like, I had to put a number on it, like I don't know. It's a small percent.
It sounds like what you're experiencing is when you think about it, right? Like right now, if someone said, hey, do you think there's good reasons to conclude that a God like the God of Christianity exists in the way that Christianity describes? It sounds like you would say when you were thinking about it, well, no, there's not really a good reason. But that your reflexive thoughts, the thoughts that are sort of built up over time that you don't have to formulate consciously, have been influenced by basically your entire life up until recently, and so those are still there. Is that somewhat descriptive?
That's fair, because I feel like I feel like that I feel like I had a relationship with God, like Christians will say, I had a relationship with God.
Yeah.
And then I feel like God failed me. I feel like God just stopped loving me, and that's hard for me to take in. Mm-hmm. People say, well, then there is no God because there's no evidence. And I agree on that side too. But I also, in my mind, I'm also like, well, God failed me. God stopped loving me. So
let me tell you, Sunflower. Let me tell you about the liberal Christian pipeline. Okay. I think you're in that pipeline right now. Let me explain. Okay. So if you're like myself and you grew up in a more fundamentalist Christianity, Mormonism I would definitely call as a fundamentalist form of Christianity, right? Very rule following, very, very big on that kind of stuff. And
that's
you
some
realize
hardcore Christianity right there.
The historical context of the religion doesn't make sense, right? Like you can look at like specific statements and claims that Mormons have made, and you can very, I would say, much more easier than other religions see that it doesn't hold up. I would also argue you can do the same thing with Christianity and Judaism, although it doesn't. It's not as clear cut, only because Mormonism is so recent. But here's where you're at, right? You've deconstructed these rules, but you can't deny that you've at least had some experiences, personal experiences, that have made you question something beyond, right? And I think that's how a lot of liberal Christians end up on the podcasts and stuff that they do today, because they're like, yeah, I grew up in this fundamentalist thing, but now I'm much more about the personal relationship stuff, right, with God. Yeah. And there's this psychological element almost to it, because that's definitely where I was at. I would say that you and I probably have some similar paths. How I got over it was figuring out that the experiences that I induced through, knowing God, through having this connection with the divine, I could also do through other things. It wasn't just through the rituals of Christianity, right? Like our brains are able to conjure these states of mind and do it in very secular ways, and also not just in secular ways, but in other religious contexts too, stuff that would be directly heretical, if not contradictory, to the experiences that supposedly the Holy Spirit is supposed to have, right? It's supposed to be an exclusive experience that you don't feel with other kinds of, religious experiences. So I would say there's even an argument there in looking at your experiences and really questioning whether or not that's the best form of evidence that can conclude that a God is real. Because if God is only available through these kinds of personal experiences, then what do we have to say about the rest of history where people have claimed that God has done things in the world, right? It's definitely, if you look at the history of Christianity, there's definitely people that have said he's done more than just personally appeared to people in
appeared as smoke, he appeared as fire.
Yeah. All kinds of
seas,
observable things, right? Outside of personal experience. But I don't know, Sunflower, that's me just spitting off the top of my dome. What do you think?
Sure, and I appreciate everything you say, because this messes with my psyche sometimes.
Yeah.
I just can't.
You're not alone.
Yeah,
it'll do that.
But I watched an old episode really quick. I watched an old episode of the Atheist Experience where Tracy was on, and I think her name's Tracy. I'm sorry, but she said something that really, and this was more recently. She said something that really messed with me in a good way, kind of. It slapped me in the face. She said, I'm butchering what she said, so forgive me if she's listening or anything, but she said, if there was a child being...
R
word or something, and I could stop the person from hurting that child, I would, but your God watches, holds the child's hands and punishes the guy when he's done. That really slapped me in the face. I'm like, God, where are you in this world?
Right.
And then I had to think, with all my experiences in life, there's homelessness, and I work with the shelter community, helping them a lot. And because the important people in this world. And it's just like, if the Bible says love does no harm to your neighbor, why are you allowing all this harm if you can stop it?
Yeah, I agree.
That messes me big time.
I agree.
And that's...
Yeah, there's a lot of theology that has come up to completely justify that specific question, which I think fails to do. In fact, I think like most of theology is just to answer the question of the problem of evil at the end of the day. Explanation as to why God works and doesn't work in the world. And he won't, right? He won't. If Jamie has a heart attack right now, I don't think God's going to intervene. And
I was going to say, don't count on it.
Well,
do you know CPR? Now I'm thinking about
But that's not God, that's me.
Is there a doctor in the building?
Point is, you are coming up with this thing that makes sense, right? It just makes sense, but there's a lot of people that are honestly gaslighting you into thinking that it doesn't make sense and saying, no, God has a plan. There's more than we know. You know, there's this kind of...
They have a response, and their response, despite not matching up with good reasons about it.
It doesn't match up with reality, and it doesn't, frankly, match up with common sense. But it's what we've been kind of provoked to believe, right?
So you can throw reasons and analysis at me about why Los Verdes, Austin's new footy team, isn't the best team that's ever existed. But I'll have a response for you, whether or not it matches up with the reasons and, LAFC.
I guess
really
so,
being a
Jamie.
better team.
I guess so.
But yeah.
Anyway.
So I can give a response to something, and so they'll come up with a response like, oh, mysterious ways or free will.
Yeah.
But I would say you're not alone. This is going to be real difficult stuff. I'm glad to hear that you're working with a therapist. Mm-hmm. There's probably more work ahead than you want. I know it sucks, but you're doing the right thing in terms of thinking about what you believe and why.
Right. And Sunflower, I'm sorry. We're kind of running out of time here. I do have to kind of move on to another caller, but I do appreciate you calling in. I hope we were able to give you some answers here, or at least even just a sense of comfort.
Yeah, and then call back in and tell us if that helped at all.
Yeah, or talk with people in the chat. I'm sure they'd love to talk to you about your experiences and stuff and relate to how you're feeling, because sometimes you just
you'll feel a lot less alone the moment you drop in that chat and 5 other people go samesies.
Sometimes you just need to talk about these things.